Okay, so we are gonna do autopsy analysis in Windows system. I think if you've taken my CS-27, you probably have seen something similar. We are gonna do some analysis, so it gives you some terminology at the beginning. So autopsy is an application where you can use it in Windows or Linux. You saw the Linux version last time, right? We're going to see the Windows version this time. So if you want to use this for your project, you can. It does allow you to do keyword search and it would be able to index all of that. So you need an external hard drive today, plug it in and copy your virtual machine to your desktop. The virtual machine that we are using is going to be the CIS-27A Forensic VM Fall 23. So I just drag it to my desktop and this is what I have here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and open up the folder that's not zipped. So open up the subfolder. You can double click the blue file. If you have like logs folder or PRV file, PREV file, you can delete those before you open. Otherwise, it's going to crash. We're going to go ahead and open up the blue icon file, which is the .vbox. Before I start the machine, I want to check the RAM. So make sure it's selected. Go systems to settings, I'm sorry. Make sure that is 8000 and click on the processor tab. You can use quad core or more, that's fine. I'm going to click OK. And if once I have all of that, I will, let me see if I need to change anything else. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start the VM. Okay. But at the top, it talks about debt analysis. Let's do that first. And debt analysis is basically if you use to look at a system that is not running, right? Like the image that we're using, basically, when you use Autopsy, it actually uses SlothKit and it has the same set of tools. That's what you see with SlothKit in Kali or another platform. Now, if sometime you might need to use specific file format, but it's able to work with AFF file, E01 file, and DD, just like any other software that is doing forensic. If you're doing live analysis, you are running an analysis while that system is running. Normally, we don't do that. We normally capture the image and then do a debt analysis, so that way it's safer. But in the case that you absolutely need to do it, you can do a live analysis with it. And they talk about that is considered an untrusted environment. Ultimately, the keyword search is the area that we can tap into. We can use it to look for things, and it is performing in ASCII because that's what's encoded. We talked about regular expressions last time, right? Where it's looking for pattern in your string, like social security number has a certain digit and it uses the dash or the hyphen, or phone number, those things belongs to regular expression and it uses the grep command. Now, some of you did the social security number and you found nothing in the last USB image just because there was no social security on that USB. But if you look at other image, it might be. So I put a link for your keyword search information there. Okay. So once I am started with my VM, I'm going to go ahead and log in. And the password information, you can find that on step 4. Now, before you try to download anything, you can check to see if you have a desktop icon for, or the desktop file for your image. I don't, right? But if you have the file and the file information is here, you can download it from the assignment page. So I did. I clicked the download button and it is under my downloads because I'm using Chrome. If you're using Edge, just make sure you save it so that way it goes into the download. Otherwise, it puts it in a temp folder. Now I'm going to put it on my USB so that way I can move it into my virtual machine. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this and put it on my USB. And I have it already, right? So this is the file right here, right? So you can drag it to your USB. And then on your virtual machine, you're going to go into devices, USB, and then select the USB that you're using. So for you, it will be Toshiba. Make sure that you enable that USB, okay? Now, if you already have it, you don't have to download anything. You can move forward to step 6 to extract it, okay? If you have it on the desktop, because if you're using an image that has it, you don't have to put it on the USB and move it. So I have it on my USB. I'm going to turn on my USB devices on my virtual machine. So go to devices, USB, and select your USB. I use the PhD 3.0 silicone power. So if you're using Toshiba or other drive, just make sure you select it. So once you do that, there's going to be a little bit of a message saying that my USB is connected, right? I can open it. So I can go to File Explorer or click the message and choose the File Explorer. And then I'm going to go and find my file. So I need to have the file that is, say, it says 3 KWSRCH. So I'm just going to drag it to my desktop. So again, download, save it to your external hard drive or your USB drive, right? Go to devices, USB, and then select enable your USB device. So in my case, I'm using this drive. You might have a Toshiba. Once that happens, open up your USB drive. So open up File Explorer, this PC, go to USB, find your file. So look for the file that starts with the number 3 and then drag it to your desktop. Then I can move to step 6, okay? And if you need help with that, you can let me know. So I'll put a note of that here. We'll click devices, USB, then select the USB drive. Okay. So I just added this step. So we can mount the USB with the download and then move it through the USB. Once I have it on my desktop, I will go ahead and right click, right? And select extract all. And then click extract. Okay, now once I have it extracted, I will find another folder without the zip symbol. Let me repeat this, okay? You should never run the image inside the folder that has a zip symbol. It's gonna fail. You extract it and use the extracted folder, the one without the zip symbol. That's important. All right. So now what we're gonna do is we are gonna open the Autopsy app. I already installed the Autopsy for you, right? You can also find this if you want to run it on your laptop, but so you can search for the app or you just double click the icon. It should have a bulldog. So double click. Or is it a different dog? Okay. So once you have the app open, you are going to select new case button. Just like all the other app and just like what we did last week in Linux, it looks slightly different on the interface, but it has the same component. So you're gonna put in your case information, you put in your case number, your name, and then you're gonna set up. And it might take a little bit to set up because it's in the VM, right? So it's loading the module for the app, which are the programming files for the app. And each of the module contains different resources for the application. So when you see this prompt, just click OK. And it's going to build out some database for your data set that you are using. So every image have a group of data, right? And Windows firewall is going to pop up. So we're going to allow access. Okay. And then allow access if you see it. It's just the application need access to certain system resources. Okay. Then we're going to click new case. And we're going to put in the information. So you can put in case 01, right? And then investigating Windows NTFS. Okay. Now what we're going to need to do is we are going to create a folder where we would store all the findings for the case. So once you fill out the name, you're going to click browse. And we're going to make a new folder for it. So we're going to click the little icon on the right that has the little red star to make a new folder. Okay, that's what it says there for step 10. And we're going to call it case 001. So otherwise, it's going to put it under documents. And we're going to select that folder. So everything that it's going to find, it's going to put it in that folder for us, and the report is going to also exist there. Then you're going to proceed and you're going to click next. Okay, keep everything default, click next. Case number 0001. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put in your name. And if you want, you can add the rest of the details. We're going to go ahead and click finish. So I finished step 15. Anybody need help with mounting USB or finding the image? Okay, so I hope you follow along with me. Okay, so now once it has everything set up for the beginning of your case, you are going to add the image that you extracted, okay? So we're gonna, where it says add data source, this is where you're gonna go and be able to go through step 16 and onward. Okay. So we have select host information here. We're going to keep the default setting, generate new host name, unless you want to specify your host information, but we're going to keep the default option. Then we're going to go to step 17. So at this time, what you do is you are going to click next, and you are going to select your image type. So it tells you that you are going to use the default disk image or the VM. Now, if you are not using, remember how we talked about like the logical image, the bit by bit image, right? Logical files are just folders that contain files. It doesn't contain like the operating system, the application. So normally if you capture an image of the entire system, you are going to select this. Now, in the case that if you want to analyze a drive, right, that doesn't have usage space, you can select this last option. You can also select a drive that use space using the local disk. But we're going to keep the first option where it says disk image, because the one that you downloaded and extracted, it's actually is a disk image. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click next. And then we're going to browse to it. So once this pop up, you're going to click browse and you're going to go to your desktop. Okay. You're going to find the file that we extracted, or the folder that we extracted. It's with the number 3. Double click that, double click its subfolder, and you're going to find a .dd file. Okay. Again, once you get here, after you select your disk image file, you're going to go ahead and click next. We're going to go browse, go to your desktop, double click the folder that you extracted, starting with number 3, double click its subfolder and select the .dd file, click open. Okay. Now, you can enter this hash, right, to be able to see if it's the correct file, it's not infected file in the process. If you don't, it's not going to matter. But in realistic case, you should make sure that your image has integrity. So you would have a hash for the image. So when you create an image, remember we talked about how you record that hash, and then you would use that hash when you're using the image. So that way you see that there's no change in your image. You need to indicate that on your report, that this is the same hash as the image hash when it was created. Okay. So go next. And here is where you can select all the tools. Okay. Or some of the tools. Now, the more tools you select, the longer it's going to run. Okay. So you have to think, oh, what are we going to use? So sometimes you won't need to use. So for example, I'm not going to use iOS Analyzer because it's not an iOS. You can deselect that, right? It's not a drone. So I'm going to deselect the DJI Drone Analyzer. Yes, you can use it for other things outside of just your regular computer. I'm not going to do Android because it's Windows image. I can deselect that, because the more things that you have on that list, the longer it's going to go, because even if there's nothing related to Android or Apple or DJI drone, it's still gonna load those module and the application needed to analyze those things, right? On the instruction, I know I put that you can just proceed by unchecking some things and so on. But so here, after you go next, we're gonna configure ingest, and then you are going to do a keyword list. Okay. So, okay. Now, depending on how large is your image, that means how big is the drive for that system, the operating system, the application, all of those things. This can take many, many hours, right? It can be very, very quick if it's small. So for something like the USB that we use was very quick, right? You saw that. But if you try to stop it from running, you won't be able to obtain everything that is needed. So you're gonna wait. Okay. So once it's done, it's going to load everything into the list here, right? You saw something similar in ProDiscover. It looks kind of like ProDiscover. A lot of these software are going to have something similar, somewhat of a similar component. So once you go and click finish, everything is going to open up in the pane now, right? We're going to do a keyword list. Anybody need help with getting this started? No, we're okay. Okay. All right. So here's my image. That's the host, right? Information. And the artifacts, you're going to find some information. Once it finds the artifacts, it's going to load that there. Okay. Done? Oh, just different drive. Yeah. Maybe use one of the black ones. Yeah. Okay. So as we are waiting for it, sorry. We can also create a keyword list, but as you see, it starts to lag a little bit, right? So if you have it on less processor and less RAM, you're going to see that it's going to become slow. Now, here is where you would see the preset. Like in Autopsy and Linux, you see these little buttons, right? On the keyword list, once you click it, you are going to make a new keyword list, okay? So you're going to customize your keyword, like what we talked about before. So on the top, we're going to click keyword list button, and you're going to click manage list, and you're going to make a new list. Manage list, and then new list. So you can automatically put in the keyword inside the interface here, or you can make a list that way you can save it. So we're going to call this, like what the lab is instructed, case number 1. So case number 0001. And we're going to click OK. Now we're going to add things to this list. So once you create that list, on the right-hand side, you're going to add the keywords. Click, and you're going to type those in here. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink this so I can view. Okay. So we are going to search for these specific keywords. Now, what are these keywords? They are specifically for spaces on your drive, and it relates to your file system and also how the drive is set up. So we're like slack space, allocated space, unallocated space, deleted allocated space. Okay, so we're going to do ALOC. and then add the next one on the next line. So you're gonna type in. Oh, I just crashed. Sorry. All right, let's do it again. So we're gonna type in each keyword for each line when you make that keyword list, okay? So once you have your keyword list, then you are going to use it to search. And the search is fairly quick because it's such a small image. Um, you know, so you should be able to pull something out quickly. Sorry, it's trying to get updates. Okay. Let's log back in. Okay. So if you get to step 36 and you already got your report, one way that you can read it is you can open your Office 365 through your account inside the VM. If you don't want to do that, put it on your USB, unmount the device from your virtual box, right? So your virtual machine has the report file located there. Find it, put it on your USB, click on devices, uncheck that USB so that way the host machine can see it. And then the host machine that you're sitting at has the Excel. So just open it up in Excel and there you have it, right? So you can do it that way. When I did this last year, I had the student log on to Office 365, but you can put it on USB and then open it on the classroom machine. So you can do it that way. As long as you can access it to answer these questions, then you're okay. All right. Sorry, I was in my autopsy and it crashed, so I'm gonna try to reopen my case. Okay, so once you get to the Excel option, you're pretty close from being done. Make sure you answer the questions and then unmount your USB, unplug your USB. Make sure we answer the last two questions. The lab is fairly short today, so we're generally it's going to be okay. Give me a second. Okay, so close that. Don't please. Wait for it to load. It takes a little bit. Yeah, just wait for it, because Java always takes a little bit. If it doesn't load that way, search for Autopsy here and open through the Thank you. Yeah. The ones that send me. I think it's just not finding the right Java packages. Have a good night for those of you who are leaving. Good luck tomorrow. I'll let you know how it goes. All right, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and reopen my case. Now, some of you will probably get this message, Java update, because the app, your Autopsy runs on Java, so just do the Java update. So otherwise, it will probably be crashy or not respawn, right? So I had to push it a little bit of update myself there inside the VM. We checked. I didn't answer your questions compared to that. Did you tweet up? Ebox doesn't like anything that is the same thing. You shouldn't run it from the drive. It has a hard time running it. In general. Oh, reduce these memory. Run it from the drive. This, I think it's just the drive speed. It's not sleeping like the office is in. It's a software. So. Okay, so we're gonna. So that, just wait for it, then you're gonna open it up on desktop. Should be okay. Then you can run it. Did you download it? Okay, yes, just map it, you can move it onto the desktop of the. Also sounds. Okay, so when it's done, go to your desktop. It's not done yet, but open the folder, just double click the blue tab, and then start it, and after you load it, then you can activate the speed. It's gonna load the Swift that you got. Okay. Oh, so I'm gonna probably let me see. Alright. When you're done, put the report to the USB and then to the C set. So it's. That's probably. He's sometimes they drive speed and sometimes. When that's done, just open it up and double click the D file. And just start, okay? Any other questions? Okay, so where did I stop? My word list. So we make a new word list. We add the keywords. So it's going to examine allocated space, unallocated space, fragmented space, slack space. Okay. All right. We can keep the default exact match, or if you make another word list, you can change the option here. We're going to click OK, and it's going to add it here, and then we're going to click OK again. Okay. So once we have our keyword list, you are going to again click the keyword list. Then you're going to select your word list on the bottom that you made. So as you add it, it's going to add it to the bottom. And then we're going to click the search button. Sorry, I have to move this or open it fully. Okay. So click search. And it's going to give you the result. We talked about like the one with the $sign. There's some log file information, your MFT. We talked about that in the past, right? So it finds some information here. Now, take a screenshot. How many files are found in the result? So if you go into file view, you can also find that, or if you click on the data source. I had it. Oh, I'm sorry. Keyword hits. It also gives you the number of files under each keyword. So you can count those up. Okay. But it gives you the total here, 16. Bye. And then the first file, so your keyword hits, your results. Sorry. Let me go back to my source. You can also expand your image, and it will also give you all the information like your MAC time. Okay. So we would be able to find the information about the first file, and it's look at the MAC time. It's going to show you to modify the created time. And then you can also access a lot of these options. You can add plugins in Autopsy, but if you click the tools, good night. Good night. We can click generate report. Okay. But if we talked about timeline last time, you can click timeline and it's going to map out the timeline for you. But we're going to, after we have all the information for your file, we're going to generate the report. And you can have Excel report or HTML report. If you want an HTML report, it's actually better to view that in your browser. So it's easier to access. In the lab, it might say Excel or something like that. Then you have to put the file onto the outside. So we're going to do data source summary report. This is going to give you a more of a condensed report, and you can click next, but you can choose other options here. Okay. And then we're going to finish. That's the image that we're going to obtain from. So it's going to give you the link for your file. And by default, the data summary is going to be in Excel. So you have to save that file to your USB drive and then unmount it. So that's what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to click this link for my report, right? Sorry. And it's going to take me to the location of it. Open up the folder, and we're going to go ahead and copy this file, and then we're going to put it onto the USB, which now I don't have because I restarted. So mount your USB on the inside. You did that to be able to move your image into the VM. So now I'm going to copy this file and put it onto the USB. I'll just put. And once I have that, I'm going to close the USB or File Explorer, go to Device, click USB, and I'm going to click it to uncheck. So I need to unmount it from the virtual machine so that way I can read it on the host machine once I have the file for the report. Okay, so click Device, USB, and then click the USB drive to unmount it. And the host machine on the outside, at this time, we should be able to see my USB drive. So you can only have access to it at one machine at a time, right? See, I have it now. And then I just simply double click it. The classroom computer has Excel, so it's going to open up my report. Okay. So once you have your report, it's going to be shown in Excel for the summary. If you want to read it in HTML, it gives you a slightly different look of a report, but it does give you some general information as well. So we have one image, 22 unknown items, 2 not analyzed. The allocated files, it found 23. That means that the files that are in the allocated space of the disk, its known location, store on the storage. There are 2 files in unallocated space that usually pertains to deleted files, and then also Slack files. Your directories are folders. Those are 17. And then you can also, in the report, it gives you these tabs. I don't think I touched on this with the other class, but you can If it finds anything, it will put it onto these tabs for you. But in general, we only gonna have this page. And it gives you the analysis, like the percentage of unknown, right? There's like 8% that it couldn't analyze. So that means that the software could not access those things. So we probably have to find other tools to be able to examine it. And then there's only one image, which is going to be shown on the graph as well. So you should be able to answer that question. So the purpose is to teach you how to use Autopsy in Windows to be able to generate a keyword search, particularly for drive space, for NTFS, and for NT file system, right? And then generate a report in Excel for the summary report and be able to read it as a summary. Now, if going back to the app, you can also generate other form of report, right? If you click generate report, let's say if I generate an HTML report, you can add like things that can go onto the page. We can click next, same image, click next, and then all the results. Now remember, the summary report is very brief. We can click finish, and it's going to finish the HTML report, and then it's going to go import. You use these two already? You want to use this one or that one? That one is screaming. Don't sit at that one. Yeah, you can use this one or just make sure you reboot it. This one has problem. I know that. Yeah, if you want this one, I rebooted this one for you. I'm using this one. Okay, so let's put it on your USB drive. So all I did was I just moved it because the computer on the outside has the app, the Excel app. But I was showing how you can do HTML report, right? And oh, I forgot to click the source. Let me find it. Okay, so it's under case 01. So all your report will go under that directory that you created, right? So here is my report folder. And then you can find, so the summary report I previously did for the Excel one, I made the HTML report. Now the HTML report, I can just double click it and it would also open in a browser format. So it looks a little different. So you get more information, right? It tells you the version of the software that's used. And then some data source information, the modules that it needs to be loaded, the keyword hits. So it gives me the breakdown of each of the file on the report. There's no tag files, so you can see it like this way. But if you did the Excel one like the lab, just put it on your USB on the virtual machine and then unmount it on the device USB in VirtualBox and then read it on the outside computer. That's how you can do it. Otherwise, you have to log into your office account through the school account, and then you'll be able to do that. So copy it, drag it to your desktop. This is meant for- There's a tissue. Yeah, you don't have to. Start these computer. They're having a problem. Okay, so you can use Excel to read your report. It's the summary report is really not very much. Right? It will show something like this, answer your lab questions. And then at the end, what did you learn about doing this lab exercise? We learned how to use Autopsy to analyze Windows image as a .dd file. We were able to use keywords in a keyword list. So create a keyword list and use that list to look for specific information, like files that are in different areas of the disk. And also to be able to read the report from Autopsy. And how can you use Autopsy for Windows forensic investigation? Just describe some of the steps that you learned, right? Say it again, the difference between what? Oh, yeah, because, well, no, it actually has the same. I have 16 hits.
Yeah, it's 16, but the Excel report is
Oh, 22 is unknown. That just means that it cannot, it's not identified from the keyword list. Yeah, it's not recognizing those. So 22 is not known. So it doesn't know what those are. Yeah. But oh, you're saying here allocated files?
23.
Yeah, 23 allocated files and unallocated files is 2, and Slack files. Yeah, I guess, let me see. Let me look back at the other report real quick. Hold on a second.
In the HTML report is the same with the program interface.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the HTML for the summary, let me see. Yeah, it only gives you. Yeah, so this, it only gives you the 16 hits that it finds based on your keyword list. For the HTML, but for the summary on the outside, it gives you additional things. So things that it cannot find and things that it can find. So in the regular report, it gives you only the things that it can find. You know what I mean? And so for this one, it's also giving you things that it cannot find, and then things that it cannot determine. It found, but it doesn't know what that is. So slightly different, yeah. Discrepancy in the software, but then you have to interpret that, right? Like so the 22 is unknown. That means that it's not even part of your list. So this is outside of your word list. And then, but the 23, it's actually giving you more on the summary. So yeah, some tools,
Is a report not depend on the work list?
yeah, some reports are not dependent on the word list. You're correct. The summary report is not necessarily pertaining to the word list, whereas the HTML report is pertaining to the word list. That's correct. Mhm. So this is gonna be the entire disk for everything. So I think summary is probably ideal for real practice, but if you only want the things that you want from the word list, then the HTML or other report. Yeah. I wish the software is a little bit more intuitive, but it's not. So when we use bulk extractor, you're gonna see, so every software is gonna have different feature and it's a little better or worse, right? Let me see. You can also do a search directly through tools, the central repository. You can also do a file search. Let me see if I can, if I do tab delimited. Actually, maybe, yeah, that's probably better to view, but comma is probably better for CSV. Let's do a text report and see what it shows. How's it going? Because it needs your keyboard integration. Sometimes, right? Sometimes you have to have that, otherwise it doesn't capture correctly. Okay, let me look at the text report. So, yeah, so we have to probably parse it. But this is probably, if you do for comma delimited, you can put it into a CSV, which is probably better to read. But yeah, that's crazy. But it does give you the files though, right here. So not very user friendly, but yeah, it tells you Slack. Bag cluster information, unallocated. Yeah, I think those are all kind of just the report that we will be able to use. Okay, let me stop.